Thank you very much again. It's a real joy to meet in person. This conference should have taken place last year, and now we are finally here with a new context. It's another world, but we are really happy to finally meet in person, to discuss, to exchange, to welcome you here. And I would like to immediately, well, before I will very briefly introduce myself, I'm going to accompany you during this conference, this webinar, for those who are connected online. My name is Nicola Speranza. I'm the Secretary General of the Federation of Catholic Family Association. Thank you. And yes, together with Bénédicte Collin, who is working behind the scenes. We work in Brussels for the Federation, at the European Office of the Federation. And I will immediately give the floor for his introductory remarks, for his we can say sort of welcome speech to Monsignor Marco Ganci, who is the permanent observer of the Holy See to the Council of Europe. Monsignor Ganci knows very well Europe. He knows also FAFCE, also because he had previously worked in the Apostolic Nunciature in Brussels to the European Union, and he spent already several years, I think almost more than 15 already, in the diplomatic service of the Holy See, representing His Holiness the Pope and the Church before the European the states, the different states, Bolivia, Nicaragua. You were in Kenya as well, and now we have the privilege of having him opening this conference today. Thank you, Monsignor Ganci.
Bonsoir à tous. Je vous salue tous bien cordialement. Vous qui êtes présents ici, les orateurs, monseigneurs, les ambassadeurs, et ainsi tous nos chers amis connectés en streaming. C'est un grand honneur pour moi de prendre la parole et d'introduire les travaux de cet événement très important sur le thème de l'écologie de la famille et développement intégral, organisé conjointement par les fédérations des associations familiales catholiques et l'Union mondiale des organisations féminines catholiques, qui font partie du Forum mondial des ONG d'aspiration catholique. Pour cette occasion, je remercie tout particulièrement les présidents respectifs de ces organisations, Vincenzo Bassi, qui était connecté, et à qui vont mes prières pour son prompt rétablissement, et Maria Lia Zervino, qui est ici présente. Votre enthousiasme ainsi que celui de vos secrétariats dans l'organisation de cette conférence, malgré les difficultés causées par la situation sanitaire, nous donne l'opportunité de réfléchir sur la famille en cette année spéciale de la famille Amoris Laetitia, proclamée par le pape François lui-même. La famille est au cœur du plan de Dieu pour l'homme et les femmes. Lorsque nous parlons de la famille, nous faisons référence uniquement à l'union stable, durable, fidèle, irréversible entre un homme et une femme, ouverte à engendrer de nouvelles générations. Sans cette conviction, elle devient une institution humaine, juridique, contractuelle, limitée dans le temps, dépendant du libre arbitre de l'homme et de la femme. Malheureusement, la famille d'aujourd'hui n'est pas seulement gravement en crise. Il souffle aussi sur elle et contre elle un vent très fort, un ouragan destructeur. Le monde veut que l'homme d'aujourd'hui vive sans aucune relation avec Dieu. Et en agissant ainsi, les êtres humains se croient libres, évolués et modernes. Face à ces difficultés, a déclaré le pape François dans son message aux participants au congrès en ligne Notre mort quotidienne, à l'occasion de l'ouverture de l'année Famille Amoris Laetitia, le 20 mars 2021, l'Église réaffirme aux époux chrétiens la valeur du mariage comme projet de Dieu, comme fruit de sa grâce et comme appel à vivre avec totalité, fidélité et gratuité. La famille, cellule de l'Église et de la société, est le premier lieu pour vivre et apprendre à vivre les relations selon la justice. C'est la famille qui est l'école de la sagesse de la vie. Les parents transmettent la vie au corps, à l'esprit, et éduquent l'âme à grandir en sagesse et en grâce. Ce sont les parents qui doivent enseigner à leurs enfants comment obéir à Dieu et comment vivre les vertus ainsi que les valeurs chrétiennes et humaines par la parole, l'exemple et les encouragements, mais aussi avec patience, miséricorde et avec cette bienveillance qui est souvent nécessaire. Lorsque nous pensons au thème de cette rencontre, nous pouvons immédiatement faire le lien avec les principes qui guident également l'encyclique Laudato Si du pape François. Tout est lié. C'est pourquoi nous affirmons que l'écologie de la famille est un problème global, universel, et pas seulement de la famille elle-même. L'écologie intégrale renvoie à l'unité indissoluble entre la vie surnaturelle, spirituelle, morale, matérielle, économique, familiale et la création. Si ce principe est ignoré ou simplement supposé, le fruit de chaque travail sera très incomplet, tout à fait inefficace. C'est cette économie d'indissolubilité du développement intégral qui permet à toutes les autres économies de vivre, y compris l'économie matérielle. Si celle-ci est détruite, la famille n'existe plus et par conséquent, les autres économies ne pourront pas subsister non plus. Si nous ne traitons pas les problèmes vus dans leur ensemble, il n'y aura jamais de solution aux problèmes pris dans leur particularité. En parallèle, il est nécessaire de se référer à un autre principe tout aussi fondamental, les dons de la vie. Malheureusement, nous savons aujourd'hui que la famille et les dons de la vie sont des choses bien séparées et distinctes. Dans les années 1970, déjà, on prétendait vouloir l'amour sans l'enfant, mais aussi l'enfant sans l'amour, la famille sans l'enfant, mais aussi l'enfant sans la famille. Cette revendication n'a pas seulement été satisfaite, elle a été largement outrepassée. Le but premier de l'homme et de la femme, créés à l'image et à la ressemblance de Dieu, qui était de construire une famille ouverte à la vie, est devenu un objectif secondaire. Cette évolution de la société a reculé le moment, l'âge de se marier, plus tardivement, à 30 ans et parfois beaucoup plus. Qu'impliquent ces changements? Les renoncements à la paternité et à la maternité. C'est la naissance de la famille avec un seul enfant, malheureusement avec les grands dangers souvent mis en évidence qu'un seul enfant ne pourra jamais apprendre la science du véritable amour, de la vraie solidarité et du partage. La famille n'est pas un ensemble juxtaposé de cellules, chacune vivant de manière autonome, sans les autres ou même contre les autres. Il s'agit plutôt d'une communauté d'obéissance, où la charité doit régner entre les unes et les autres. La charité étant avant tout l'observance des règles de justice. C'est les tâches de l'Église, autrement dit, le devoir de nous tous, d'aider la famille déjà de sa constitution et de l'accompagner par la suite en participant à l'élaboration des politiques familiales clairvoyantes. Cette rencontre sera également d'un intérêt particulier et d'un grand soutien pour chaque famille, chacune étant convaincue que sauvegarder la famille signifie sauver la personne humaine, la société, l'humanité. Plaçons devant notre Mère du ciel, reine de la famille, les familles vivant tout particulièrement dans notre chère Europe, avec leurs beautés et leurs blessures. Puisse-t-elle rayonner encore en temps, source d'épanouissement et témoigner d'une vie portée par l'amour et l'attention aux autres. Que l'Europe et tous les responsables des nations puissent protéger les valeurs humaines et la famille comme sanctuaire de vie. Merci.
Merci. Merci beaucoup, Monseigneur Ganci. Thank you very much for these words. Okay. It's inspiring opening remarks. And it is my honor, my pleasure to give now the floor to Maria Lia Zervino, the General President of the World Union of Catholic Women Organizations, which I discovered is a very, not only a big organization than FAFCE, but also an older, which was founded in 1910. So you celebrated one century anniversary last year. Congratulations. It's representing women's organization from all over the world. And Maria Zervino is Argentinian, from Buenos Aires, like our Pope. But she's like the Pope as well. She's based in Rome, where she leads the World Union. Thank you very much for your presence here and also for co-organizing with us this event today. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon or good morning if you are in another place, or good evening, I don't know, for all of you. It is a pleasure and an honor to introduce this event in the Amoris Laetita Family Year, the 5th year of the publication of the exhortation on the beauty and joy of family love, co-organized by FAFCE and WUCWO. We both are leading the thematic group on family within the Forum of Catholic-inspired international NGOs. This forum looks for a collaborate work in international agencies, a positive synergy between those of us who have a vision of human reality from the gospel and the social teachings of the Catholic Church. Today's conference wants to be an example of this. Why is the theme Ecology of the Family and Integral Development so significant in this context and in this moment? I will mention some of the reasons. First, we are celebrating the 6th anniversary of the European Social Charter, just this past 18 October. we must recognize that in these 60 years, there have been steps forward to achieve work, housing, health, education, etc. But unfortunately, also steps backwards regarding the protection and promotion of family. In this anniversary, let us speak out. As long as the family is not considered the axis of social policies, it will not be possible to achieve an inclusive society and a healthy planet. Second reason, Amoris Laetitia and Laudato Si are pretty much linked. If we strive to respond to the cry of the planet, we must also respond to the cry of families in difficult situations and of their most vulnerable members. Our planet suffers from a single crisis, as Pope Francis says. It is worrying that when some ecological movements defend the integrity of the environment, they sometimes fail to apply those same principles to human life. Carrying the biodiversity of all living beings necessarily implies giving priority to the care of human life, from the conception to the natural death in its natural sphere of development, the family environment. Respecting the differences between male and female, naturally open to procreation, is fundamental to preserve the rights of the family and the full development of the human species. This is what we might call the ecology of the family. To care for the ecology of the family is fundamental. When an ideology denies the difference and reciprocity nature of a man and a woman, envisages a society without sexual differences, it removes the anthropological foundation of the family. On the other hand, I would like to emphasize that this position must be accompanied by understanding and respect for those who do not live in this way because of their convictions or their often complex life stories. They need to be preserved from all discriminations. Integral and sustainable development, taking into account the ecology of the family, requires giving equal opportunities of access to quality education, health services, nutritive food, and decent employment to the poorest families, to those divided by forced migration, and especially to those living in discarded families in the so-called less developed countries. Also, having a home has much to do with the dignity and the growth of families. Third reason why we choose this topic, Christian and other faith communities pursuing the same goals regarding the families can collaborate with states, in particular in the Council of Europe, with the contribution of their good practices, looking for the integral human development and considering the ecology of the family. FAFCE and WUCWO have a lot to offer in this sense. Both networks, the Federation of Catholic Family Associations in Europe and the World Union of Catholic Women's Organizations, are participating in the Laudato Si platform to reach out a critical mass of families at grassroots level who, by achieving the 7 objectives of Laudato Si in the coming years, will succeed in changing families' lifestyles so as to allow all our brothers and sisters to live in dignity in our common home. Among many other activities and good practices, FAFCE takes care of the older members of the family, the generation that has been most affected by COVID-19. WUCWO's good practices in favor of families also include the prevention of child abuse in schools and families. Based on this publication, Women as Agents of Safeguarding. Women's identity consists in being generators of life, of bonds, of care through our motherhood. To ruin or diminish this capacity is to attack the heart of femininity, which is precisely generativity. Last but not least, investing in the family means investing in Europe, because ecological education begins in families. Families must be the heart of the culture of life to have a flourishing society and planet. In the family, we must first learn how to show love and respect for life. We must be taught the respect for the local ecosystem and care for all creatures. Before listening to our STEAM panelists, please allow me to share with you some simple skills that we here and we whom are online, each one of us, all of us can implement in our daily family life, and that can change our world through a culture of care. Please, the video. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this introduction, this opening speech, which really gave us the framework of this conference in this Amoris Laetitia Family Year. I will now we are going more towards the center of this event, of this conference today, and I will give the floor to Bishop Jolt Martin. Please, you can because of the webcam and the micros, we need to. to move there. Thank you very much. And Bishop Martin is the Bishop of FAFCE in Hungary. The chairmanship of the Committee of Ministers, and it's a real honor to have Bishop Martin. I know that for a bishop, like a bit of for parents of a family, it's not always easy to leave his own family, like leaving the diocese. But thank you very much for coming. We were only 1 month ago. We were together in Budapest at the Demographic Summit, and it's now a real honor to have you here listening to you. Thank you.
Most reverend and reverend, dear Nicola, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants. First of all, I would like to thank you for the honorable invitation to speak. I've been Bishop of the Diocese of FAFCE since mid-July 2019, and for only a year I've been the chairman of the family committee of the Hungarian Bishop Conference. It is a great pleasure for me to be the chief pastor of my own diocese and to take on the role of family referent from my excellent predecessor, another bishop. However, it is also a big challenge for me. A dear friend of mine put it this way: your bishopric like a greenfield investment, meaning that I had not been an auxiliary bishop before. So I'm studying the bishop, the office of bishopric. As I humorously put it, I could be a face-to-face bishop for half a year. Then I worked as an online bishop for a year during the pandemic, and now half a year during the reconstruction period, I'm a face-to-face bishop again. The fact the Hungarian state authorities have handled the epidemic situation well is a great help in the reconstruction of our communities, which means that from the beginning of the summer, all community events can be held in person without the mandatory use of masks. It is a common experience that those parishes were really able to revive those members maintained a living relationship with each other during the COVID restrictions. There are many good examples for this. For the rebuilding of communities, I can cite examples primarily from my own diocese. During the pandemic in our diocese, in addition to the online catechesis of our parishes and various groups of faith, together with my colleagues, we made video catechesis accessible to everyone in the diocese and beyond. Several priests and deacons, the auxiliary bishop of our diocese, and myself all participated in the making of these videos. In our diocese too, we have found that the isolation caused by the COVID pandemic has plagued not only our families, but also the communities of families. The lack of the face-to-face community encounters, insecurity, fears, and sometimes too tight proximity of family members have often resulted in a serious mental strain and crisis for many. Supporting and connection building services have already been launched online and by telephone during the crisis. With this helpful connection, by eventually joining a retaining local community, even such people could get closer to the church who previously had no connection to her. We can say that recognizing and practicing new possibilities of online connection is the fruit of the epidemic, as we, pastors and lay people alike, have learned many new techniques of fostering community connection that otherwise might not have been used so intensively in pastoral care. But due to the pandemic, we were forced to overcome our resistance and learned these new online techniques and opportunities. This, while not a replacement for face-to-face encounters, proved to be very conducive for organization and contact. It is true that the crisis rendered in-person meetings impossible, but this absence has raised a strong desire for personal encounters. We have received many such signals from the routine and reformed groups that a great number of the members were filled with joy just by the fact that they could meet each other. This has resulted in a greater appreciation for even the possibility of meeting, and as a further result, the encounters have been deeper and more intense. The state of affairs before and after COVID perhaps also serve as kind of a filter of how seriously one takes his or her faith. There are those to whom it suffices to meet online, but it remains there for him as a lifeline should the storm of life hit him hard. However, there are those who are shaken and awakened in their faith by experiencing communion and the love of God even more in personal encounters. We saw this quality leap of progression in the restarting groups of faith, deeper sharing, greater openness towards each other, and the need for retaining communities. The attendance may be less, but we are not worried because the quality of the personal encounters have become much more valuable and stronger. One couple who before even fully masked hadn't dared to come to the married couples meetings because of the virus said a few weeks ago that we definitely want to be there with or without a mask. we have vaccinated ourselves just to be able to meet in person, and have been coming every time ever since. At community gatherings, it now happens that someone who is unable to attend a face-to-face meeting due to an obligation or physical distance joins in online. This can also be very important for groups that meet regularly so that they do not fall out of a group development process. The relationships of married couples and family members were also overwhelmed during the crisis period. Many people realized that they needed help in their home isolation because they were overwhelmed by their problems swept under the rug, and the usual stress relieving and anger management techniques were no longer working. In the spirit of reconstruction, this May, we have established a training center, on one hand, to further train and assist our priests, deacons, and lay staff, and on the other hand, to support the mental health and pastoral care of engaged and married couples, as well as individual help seekers. The name of the institution is Motivatio Training Center. Motivation is a well-known word, which in Hungarian encompasses the name of the center of all dioceses, FAFCE, Motivatio, FAFCE, motivation. By this, we want to express that this center is ours. To the best of my knowledge, we are the first among the Hungarian Catholic dioceses to establish such a special service. This institute has three main directions. The first is ecclesiastical training. Thus, the diocese priests, permanent deacons, teachers, senior staff, school principals, and employees working in charities or social fields are supported by various internal ecclesiastical trainings. In this framework, for example, we have launched a course entitled, in Hungarian, Imolánc, prayer dance, where we welcome teachers, youth, and community building professionals who would like to learn the method of prayer that also offers the opportunity to learn multitasking. The second direction is mental health training and support for priests, permanent deacons, teachers, educators, as well as engaged and married couples, families, and single persons. For example, it has become available for priests a so-called leadership training, the priest as a leader, what it means to lead your parish with a pastoral attitude, inclusively listening to your parishioners and those in need. Another example, we have launched a leadership training program for Catholic Institute leaders, kindergarten leaders, school directors in all dioceses with a similar goal through the development of their managerial competences we aim to assist them to exercise their leadership role joyfully and consciously. At the same time as the coronavirus pandemic has subsided, mental health counseling and training programs have been launched primarily with a preventive approach with the aim to improve and support mental health. Currently, the following mental health counseling and training programs are available. Programs for adult individuals and groups, individual mental health talk, one-time or multi-support conversations with professionals, bereavement processing group, fellow helpers, resource exploration group, self-knowledge group, a group that uses the methods of psychodrama, situational and dramatic games, sharing conversation. For children and young adults, individuals and groups, children and young adult coaching, a series of 5 to 10 occasions of conversation where children get to know themselves better, discover their own resources on the basis of which they can develop. It can be recommended in the following situations: learning difficulties, choosing a new school, friends, family relationship problems, lack of confidence or self-acceptance. Kids kill individually or in groups. A solution-focused method for children and young adults. Its core tenet is that many of the problems in one's life can be regarded as skills that can be learned and or developed. Participants work to understand and learn these skills individually from 4 years up, or in groups from 8 to 14 years of age. Programs for married couples and families, consultation for couples and families, supportive conversation in case of stagnation in a marriage, a relationship, or even in a broken family, or in the event of crisis. A relationship training called Embrace Me, an intense, emotion-focused weekend for couples who want to deepen their relationship. Fragile Treasure marriage enhancement training, a relationship developer, a series of 6 supportive group sessions for couples who want to improve the quality of their relationship. A further goal of the center is to build a network of mental health professionals throughout the diocese, making certain services available to everyone as close as possible in the area where they live. The third direction of the training center is the so-called rural development. The church takes responsibility upon herself also in the world of work. The training center also offers rural development trainings. Such trainings are agricultural farmer, logger, and village hospitality courses in cooperation with the renewed state training system. The I'll Be an Entrepreneur training targets young entrepreneurs, and the motivation training helps practicing leaders learn new methods. An essential aspect in renewing our schools communities is the availability of the adequate numbers of dedicated educators. For this purpose, we founded the Hungarian Kristóf Migaci Teacher Training Scholarship of the Diocese of Vác. This opens up a new opportunity for all undergraduate and graduate students who are studying to become primary or secondary school teachers, special educators, or kindergarten teachers, or undertake to find work in an educational institution run by the diocese upon completion of their studies. The steps at national level are as follows. Now, at the beginning of October, the Family Committee of the Hungarian Bishop Conference and the Diocese of Vác jointly organized a vocational day for the protection of life in Vác for religious educators, family referents, pastors, and laity who are committed to protecting life professionality or as volunteers. This time, the topic of the lectures and discussion groups was abortion, which is a serious problem in Hungary and in the world from a moral, a mental, a health, and even from an economic point of view. The novelty of this event was that, unlike similar vocational forums in the past, we have now focused not so much on the pain that result from abortion, but on prevention and healing. According to our plans, we will hold the National Family Congress at the end of November, which will also take place in the Diocese of Vác in a small town. The theme of this, in harmony with the year of Saint Joseph and the year of Amoris Laetitia Family, is paternity. The keynote speaker will be a dear colleague of ours, Tamás Krúdy, a father of 6, a Christian journalist who is here with us now. In the context of family upbringing, we want to focus on the father-son relationship. With the thoughts, activities, and plans outlined here, we aim to rebuild our families, communities, and the family of families, our church. In connection with the 40th anniversary of the publication of the Apostolic Exhortation Familiaris Consortio, we would like to ask for the intervention of the great Pope of Families, Pope Saint John Paul II, for post-crisis reconstruction in our countries. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this concrete contribution, really saying how concrete, how concrete is the contribution of the church, or not only from the institutional point of view of the communities as well, to rebuild our communities after this crisis. Thank you again. It's my honor now to give the floor to Archduchess Kathleen of Habsburg. I think well, there are many ways we could introduce you. You are of course president of Ensemble pour la Vie, Together for Life in Geneva, in Switzerland. You are also a committee member of the European Fraternity and co-founder of the Theo Bar in Luxembourg, which is a very interesting experience. I didn't know that you were a co-founder of it. I heard about this experience in Luxembourg by Cardinal Hollerich himself, who is very proud of it. I invite everybody to check because on the internet it's very easy. You can find about it, the Theo Bar. But I think the presentation you would like the most is that you're a mother, you're a wife first, you're a mother, and you're a housemaker. Thank you very much for being here. As I said to Bishop Martin, it's not easy to leave your family, and that's why your husband is here with you, with the baby as well. So thank you very much to both for coming here.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. It is such an honor to be with such a wonderful panel of speakers in the context of the year of Amoris Laetitia, as we all work to support the family more and more. Not only as we discuss also with Laudato Si and Amoris Laetitia, as you so rightly said, that we now have ways to discuss how these work together, how the family supports integral development and protection of the environment, and wonderful thoughts. So thank you very much. When I was in school and I was learning how to give public speeches, I was always told that it was an excellent idea to bring a prop to help make a point. So I brought a very cute prop. Her name is Cecilia. She is in the back with my husband, but unfortunately, or fortunately, she has fallen asleep. But she loves to make friends, so I do hope to meet all of you afterwards, and if you would like to tickle a baby, feel free. As Nicola mentioned, I am the mother of 4 daughters, aged 7 years old to 9 months. And I speak to you tonight as a woman who is deeply grateful. As you said, my favorite titles are wife and mother. And I am deeply grateful for this vocation for which I prayed for many years. And I'm aware of, and I hope to not sound, this doesn't sound very humble, but there is a magnificent centrality to my role as spouse and mother. And I think we need to re-find and re-welcome this dignity of being a spouse and being a mother. This role is often overlooked and belittled by our society, and sadly even sometimes by those in the church. But this centrality is something that is so essential to the common good. My life, my daily life, is very firmly anchored in the real, in the bodily, spiritual, educational, and affective needs of every single member of my family. For the moment, their primary need for physical love is directed at my person, most of all. And as Cecilia is still breastfeeding, she would be the first to admit that. So my first role in these early years is to prepare them to give and to receive love. In many ways, my husband and I are really standing in these first early years for God himself. That doesn't sound very humble, but it's true. One day, hopefully, our roles in the lives of our children will diminish greatly. But the school of love, which is the family, in which my husband and I are head and heart, will have prepared them to go out into the world and themselves become protagonists for the common good in their families and in their communities. Much has been said in recent months in the Catholic Church as we discuss synodality and the role of women. We hear from all corners, often from those who do not understand the Catholic Church, from those in the media, that women are on the periphery, that we are on the fringes, and that we must be brought into the heart of the church and her governance. And I don't know about you, but this makes me laugh. because women, one woman in particular, the Virgin Mary, have always been the heart of the church. And to suggest that a woman must be a bishop or a priest to be important in the church is simply ridiculous and rather offensive. The church herself is our mother and the bride of Christ. And our role as women, physical or spiritual mothers, is of central and foundational importance to the family, to the church, and indeed to all of society. No priest or government institution is as capable as I am, united with my dear husband, of teaching our children compassion, of learning to choose the good for its own sake, and that can be taught in no better place than in the home and from no better hands than ours. The reality of right and wrong, the idea of responsibility and selflessness can be learned again in no better place than the heart of our family. In watching their father as he sacrifices his wants and his needs for the good of us all, in watching me give myself, heart and body to my children and my husband, experiencing the reality that responding to the needs of brother, sister, mother, father, grandparent, neighbor, friends have immediate and evident consequences for good or for bad. Solidarity is felt and learned alongside learning to walk, talk, eat, and play. All these things are so integral to the common good and to a healthy and functioning society. In the past 3 days alone, our family has welcomed a stranger grieving her father. We have cooked for sick neighbors, and we've consoled a friend suffering from a miscarriage. We've also had the incredible occasion of receiving the help of our neighbors and friends in so many ways, from helping with childcare to responding to so many of our needs in the most extreme moments of our lives. What a beautiful opportunity we have to act as a united family in our community in giving and receiving help and love. Personally, I find the fulfillment of skills of my talents, and I'm challenged to grow in every single way, every day. My husband and children are doing their best to try to make me a saint, and it is not an easy task. Thank you. My children especially have been my most impactful teachers. In Cecilia's eyes, in her look of love for me, her look of pure joy and delight in my presence near her from her earliest age, from her first days, has taught me more about the joy of love and the delight that awaits us in heaven and in contemplation of God than I have learned in all my years as a Catholic. I pray that one day I can look at our Father in heaven the way that Cecilia looks at me, in utter joy and abandonment to my love for her. If I'm speaking to you tonight about the common good, it's because I am animated to work for a world in which my children and the future generations will flourish. My role as mother at the heart of a family gives me a direct responsibility and share in the future. The health and well-being of the family is so central to our work for sustainable development. This development is impossible if we do not begin and end that work with the good of the family as our primary objective. It is imperative that we work towards a society and an economic model in which mothers in particular have the choice to stay home if they so desire. How often do I cross women who must tear their hearts into every day as they leave their children, but are simply financially unable to sustain their families on only one salary? Indeed, while on the other hand, we witness the sad reality of the disintegration of the family and the tragic consequences that disintegration holds for individuals and institutions, for individuals in the society struggling to replace it with institutions, we are also living at a moment where the family, perhaps in the past a bit taken for granted, can be now recognized more and spoken of more, as we are doing tonight, for the absolute importance it is to human flourishing. It is true that many children come into the world in tragic circumstances and are cut off from the family life that is their birthright. Many families are broken and suffering, and the heart of the home often becomes a place of immense suffering. For this reason, it is even more fundamentally necessary that families rediscover their importance, that governments recognize the family as the primary cell of society, and that the church recognizes the fundamental role of parents in the integral spiritual and social development of children. In doing so, The light that comes from our homes and families, increasingly supported and sustained by church and society, will illuminate and warm not only those members of our own families, but even those on the outside who are drawn in. The good of the family and of each family will become a source of grace, fulfillment, and sanctification for individuals, communities, and nations, truly protagonists for the common good. Thank you for your time and allowing me to be a witness to my vocation and the important work that I am doing at the heart of my home. May each one of us continue to go out into the world proclaiming the mystery of love that is hidden in home and family, and yet is paradoxically of the utmost importance to functioning societies and the good of each person. Thank you.
Thank you very much for really this inspiring intervention, but also this testimony of life. I will retain this exhortation to all families to rediscover their own importance. This is also the reason why we are here today, because often this conscience, this awareness of the importance of the family is lacking in families themselves. Thank you very much for your intervention. Before moving forward, I would suggest that we'll have a very small break. I would suggest to sacrifice some minutes because we are a bit late on the schedule, and we will meet again here in 10 minutes. Thank you very much. Okay. I hope you can hear me well. We are going, I will switch to French pour présenter Maître Jean Payot, qui est ici avec nous, qui lui aussi, d'une certaine manière, il nous accueille ici à Strasbourg en tant que président de la Fédération des associations familiales catholiques du Bas-Rhin, qui est le département de Strasbourg. Et voilà, il y aurait beaucoup, bon, j'ai pris des notes, il y a beaucoup de choses à dire sur Jean Payot, avocat au barreau de Strasbourg depuis 1992. Expert pour la mission permanente du Saint-Siège, ici, auprès du Conseil de l'Europe, président et fondateur de l'Association des enfants de Bethléem. Et voilà, j'ai dit les choses que j'aime le plus parmi les larges choix que j'ai. Professeur aussi de droit en droit de la santé. Et pourquoi pas, je ne m'empêcherai pas de faire de la pub de votre dernier roman, parce que Maître Payot, il est aussi un auteur d'ouvrages historiques. Et il va nous parler, oui, le dernier roman, c'est les 12 majuscules, n'est-ce pas? Voilà. Mais pour revenir au sujet de notre conférence aujourd'hui, Maître Payot, il nous portera vraiment l'expérience des associations familiales catholiques, de leur rôle dans la construction du bien commun. Merci beaucoup.
Et à vous, merci pour votre invitation. Je suis désolé, je parlerai essentiellement en français, mais j'espère que voilà, la traduction fonctionne bien et que tout le monde me comprendra. Oui, j'ai grand plaisir à accueillir la FAFCE ici à Strasbourg, où je préside la Fédération des associations familiales catholiques. Ça y est, la technique est au point. C'est une grande joie de prendre la parole et de vous exposer l'expérience que les associations familiales catholiques ici dans le nord de l'Alsace ont, notamment au regard donc, voilà, de ce titre, de l'écologie humaine et du développement global. Développement global de chacun, développement global de nos familles et puis développement global de notre société. Le sujet est évidemment vaste, le temps qui m'est imparti est extrêmement réduit, et donc je serai relativement court, je ne serai peut-être pas analytique, je ferai plutôt avec vous un partage d'expérience. Voilà ce que nous faisons ici, au sein des associations familiales catholiques, avec nos adhérents, avec nos bénévoles. Nous ne sommes pas très nombreux, nous sommes une association, nous sommes 3 associations, l'une fondée il y a 40 ans, 2 autres fondées il y a 10 ans, ces 3 associations étant réunies en une fédération que je préside. Nous ne sommes pas très nombreux pour des raisons historiques, parce qu'il y a longtemps, au début du mouvement associatif familial en France en 1945, sous l'égide du général de Gaulle, une autre association familiale s'est créée en Alsace, qui est encore aujourd'hui très importante. Elle est très importante, elle a plus de 200 salariés, elle a énormément d'activités, mais malheureusement, ayant autant de salariés et autant d'activités, elle est pieds et poings liés par son financeur principal, qui est la CAF, la Caisse d'allocation familiale. Son budget est de plusieurs dizaines de millions d'euros par an, et donc elle réalise en fait la politique voulue par la Caisse d'allocation familiale. Quand les catholiques d'ici s'en sont rendus compte et ont constaté que, en réalité, l'association catholique d'alors n'avait plus aucune liberté, au point même que le mot mariage a été retiré des statuts, et qu'aujourd'hui, comme dans bien des associations familiales, il n'y a plus de définition de la famille, il n'y a plus aucun aucun rappel, voilà, de cette nécessité de garantir aux familles une certaine pérennité, notamment à travers le mariage. Alors les catholiques se sont dit, il faut qu'on crée une autre association, et ce furent les associations familiales catholiques. Voilà pourquoi nous sommes jeunes et nous sommes encore peu nombreux, mais nous avons notre liberté. Nous ne sommes peut-être pas une association de service, mais nous sommes une association de conviction, et nous portons ces convictions auprès des pouvoirs publics et auprès de nos adhérents et de tous ceux qui veulent bien partager nos activités. Alors, je voudrais vous dire très simplement que nous avons des activités indépendamment de cette dimension conviction, indépendamment donc de ce rapprochement avec les pouvoirs publics qui est si importante, et nous sommes un relais local de toute l'activité de la Confédération nationale des associations familiales catholiques, qui à ce titre fait un travail remarquable. Au plan local, nous avons également des actions auprès de nos familles adhérentes. Une des actions les plus importantes, c'est d'abord dans le développement humain, dans le lien humain, dans le rapport entre les différents membres de la famille. Nous avons pour cela mis en œuvre une activité qui a été mise au point par nos voisins de Lorraine et qui s'appelle les chantiers éducation, qui est une activité tout à fait extraordinaire. Ce sont des groupes de parole, essentiellement de mamans, ça pourrait être avec des papas, il se trouve que c'est avec des mamans, qui se réunissent dans un cadre un peu défini et qui mettent ensemble leurs expériences communes sur des sujets tout à fait humains. Mon enfant a du mal à être concentré à l'école. Ah, tu as une expérience en la matière, dis-moi quelles sont les solutions que tu as pu trouver. Voilà. On partage des expériences humaines qui concernent nos enfants ou qui concernent également les parents. Et c'est quelque chose d'extrêmement fécond. Mettez deux parents ensemble qui ont des enfants à peu près du même âge, ils ne se connaissaient pas 5 minutes avant, ils vont se mettre à parler de leurs enfants. Et très rapidement, ils vont avoir la même chose que ces groupes de parole. Alors, ces groupes de parole sont organisés, mais finalement, ils correspondent à une chose extrêmement naturelle et qui est vécue ainsi d'une manière très féconde. Nous avons un grand nombre de réunions à dimension culturelle ou qui nous permettent de nous retrouver entre familles pour des sorties, pour des soirées-jeux, pour des visites culturelles, et qui sont pour nous l'occasion de vivre avec d'autres familles et de partager ce lien amical, ce lien fraternel, ce lien affectueux qui doit être celui que nous vivons dans nos familles. Nous nous disons catholiques, mais nous ne pouvons pas être des catholiques de la messe du dimanche. Notre catholicisme s'ancre précisément dans notre vie quotidienne, dans notre vie de famille pour nous qui sommes à la tête de famille ou membres de famille. Nous devons donc vivre cette cohérence entre notre foi et ce que nous vivons. Et cette cohérence, c'est finalement ça, le développement intégral. C'est aussi de pouvoir dire, voilà ce que c'est que la foi, nous pouvons la vivre en famille. Et nous ne la vivons, encore une fois, pas que en étant des chrétiens du dimanche, une heure par semaine à la messe. Nous le vivons constamment. Et nos foyers doivent être des foyers lumineux et joyeux, des foyers d'amour, des foyers de rire et de chansons. Eh bien, se retrouver entre différentes familles, c'est aussi vivre ça. Ce sont ces temps finalement très simples, avec rien de spécial, mais où il y a finalement tout cela. toute cette joie, tout cet amour que nous pouvons partager et que nous pouvons transmettre. Et puis, il y a un deuxième aspect qui, je pense, rentre également dans le cadre de nos discussions, qui est la dimension surnaturelle, hein, le fait de vivre notre foi ou le fait de nourrir notre foi. J'en veux deux exemples. Le fait qu'une de nos associations ait développé une prière des mères ou un travail particulier avec les pères de famille, une fois par trimestre, maman d'un côté, papa de l'autre, se réunissent pour partager ensemble, entre pères ou entre mères, des moments de prière, des moments de vie surnaturelle. C'est important de pouvoir se ressourcer à l'aune de notre Père créateur de la nature et qui a créé cette nature par amour et qui nous demande de vivre cet amour. Et donc, voilà, c'est important de temps en temps de se réunir. Et puis, une deuxième petite chose que vous avez peut-être vécue dans vos pays respectifs, les moments de confinement ont été particulièrement difficiles et dans certains endroits, les droits fondamentaux de l'Église ont également été oubliés. Les familles voulaient pouvoir retourner au culte avec les restrictions légitimes nécessaires pour éviter de propager une pandémie, mais en même temps en faisant respecter les droits fondamentaux des chrétiens. Eh bien ici, à l'occasion du deuxième confinement, il avait été prévu par le gouvernement de limiter l'accès aux lieux de culte à 30 personnes maximum. Et les associations familiales catholiques d'ici ont dit c'est pas possible. Plusieurs évêques français se sont levés contre cette limitation drastique. Nous avons embrayé le pas, nous avons demandé à notre évêque d'intervenir à nos côtés devant la haute juridiction, le Conseil d'État, qui était appelé à statuer, et le Conseil d'État nous a donné raison. Et cette limite complètement idiote des 30 personnes par lieu de culte a été levée. C'est aussi le droit et le devoir des associations familiales catholiques de pouvoir prendre position à la fois dans les débats intellectuels et à la fois dans le champ judiciaire lorsqu'il est indispensable de faire respecter nos droits fondamentaux. Et étant avocat, c'était peut-être plus facile pour moi d'avoir cet œil aiguisé en la matière, mais je me réjouis de ce travail des AFC, ici pour le culte, là pour d'autres libertés fondamentales qui seraient de la même façon bafouées. Voilà, je vais m'arrêter là, mais vous le voyez, nous avons un champ immense d'investigation, de réalisation, qui sont simplement limités par notre nombre de bénévoles, notre nombre d'adhérents, mais nous nous appuyons sur des associations qui ont beaucoup d'enthousiasme, peut-être l'enthousiasme de la jeunesse encore, mais un enthousiasme tout à fait remarquable et fécond pour toutes nos familles. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your intervention. Merci beaucoup pour votre intervention. Encore une fois, très concrète. Et nous sommes ravis aussi d'entendre votre témoignage, de votre action concrète aussi par rapport à la question de la liberté de culte que les familles ont pu expérimenter et ces défis. Nous donnons maintenant la parole à Madame Giovanna Rossi, qui, merci beaucoup, qui dans le cadre de notre fédération représente dans notre conseil de présidence l'association italienne de grands-parents, association Nonni 2.0. Madame Rossi, elle est tout d'abord, elle m'a dit juste avant, elle y tient que ce soit souligné, elle est grand-mère de 13 petits-enfants. Et c'est le premier titre avec lequel elle veut être présentée, et justement, à juste titre. Mais elle est aussi directrice du Centre de recherche pour la famille de l'Université catholique de Milan. Elle a été membre de l'Observatoire, à côté du professeur Donati, de l'Observatoire national pour la famille en Italie. Et elle nous porte son témoignage à la fois personnel, mais surtout le fruit de ses travaux, de ses recherches, et aussi au nom de cette association de grands-parents que je dois dire est très jeune, pas seulement pour les peu d'années d'activité, mais aussi pour ça. Je connais beaucoup d'associations de jeunes qui sont beaucoup moins actives que la vôtre. Voilà, merci beaucoup. Oui, nous allons mettre via.
Ok. Ah, giusto, vero. Ah, scusate. So the title of my intervention is Intergenerational Solidarity, Soul of Integral Development. As I prepared the slide, so you can, okay. I think that is better for you to understand our thinking. As we wrote in the manifesto of our Grandparents Association 2.0, in the world we live in, grandparents, guardians of memory, are more than ever called to be active witness of the virtues and experiences that, to test of time and life, have proved useful and valid in addressing the personal and social challenges of the present times. In an era of crisis of civilization, much such as one we are going through, grandparents like us, aware of the value of the Christian tradition as a fundamental research. But how does the socio-demographic situation look in the face of these statements? The socio-demographic changes of the Italian population. The first reflection is about the crisis of the birth rate, and the second one, the crisis of the marriage institution. About the crisis of the birth rate, the demographic picture in Italy in 2020 is characterized by a new historical law of birth. The resident of population is 400,000 less than in 2019. The decline of in births in January 2021 leaves little doubt about the role played by pandemic. The crisis of the marriage institution. I think that you have to rethinking about this topic. The crisis of institution of marriage, which began in Italy in 1972. The pluralization of family forms represents the most significant changes because the pluralization means the transition, the family life is not now followed a precise regulatory sequence, engagement, religion, or civil marriage, Today, the pets of couple are multiple and non-linear. Another cohabitation before marriage is growing phenomenon, especially among the youngest. Another part of couple is represented by a cohabitation of unmarried adults, a relational modality alternative to marriage. This is a situation in Italy, so I think that also you have to thinking about this also in Europe. Now I would like to explain a very little thing concerning family and values, because with many other colleagues, there is a possibility to speak about the World Values Survey. This is very important survey. In overall sample of 7 countries considered, Italy, France, Germany, Spain, United Kingdom, Poland, Russia, the family always come first. The values of family. Work in second place, friends in third place, the fourth is free time. The fifth is religion. Politics is the 6th and last place. Religion and politics are very important to less than 1/50 of the population. The importance of the family is felt to a slightly greater extent by the adult age group. However, in Italy, adults and the elderly have identical values. The grandparents, therefore, do not have the grandparents the primacy in considering the relevance of family dimension. So you are thinking about this. Religion occupies the penultimate position in order of importance. The penultimate position as value. It may be consoling to note that in all countries, grandparents contribute to a positive orientation towards religion. This is the name of the colleague that wrote about the world families, the world values families. 3 generations, a family for the integral human development. Now, I would like to explain this heritage, the culture heritage. So I think that is no, andiamo avanti, questo. Andiamo avanti, another one, because I spoke follow. Each generation is a new beginning. So, the question is, how can be generative as a parents and grandparents? Già, è vero. Is very important. Is very important to be generative, not only as parent, but also as grandparents. Any generative action must have the characteristic of giving and passing on. As I spoke about first. Grandparents have a direct task in addition to the indirect one of generating towards their grandchildren. Next slide. Next, please. Intergenerational solidarity and economy. This is a topic very important, because thanks to the fact that all the generation today live longer than elder, if we can work longer, the offer of grandparent services in terms of care of grandchildren, assistance with study and sport activities is increasing. I have to... The integral development, also, grandparent play fundamental. The integral development of humanity, what it is it for us? I had to rethinking to the Caritas in Veritate, because the Caritas in Veritate underlines that the essential quality of authentic development, it must be integral, that is, it has to promote to good of every man and of the whole man, every man and to whole man. The theme of the development can be identified with the inclusion in relation of all individuals and peoples within the one community of the human family, built in solidarity on the basis of fundamental values of justice and peace. A particular manifestation, the next slide, please, the next. Oh. A particular manifestation of charity. This is very important for all kinds of association, and a guiding criterion for fraternal cooperation between believers and non-believers is undoubtedly the principle of subsidiarity, an expression of inalienable human freedom. Subsidiarity is the first and foremost of a form of assistance to the human person via the autonomy of intermediate bodies. Subsidiarity respects personal dignity by recognizing of the person a subject who is always capable of giving something to others. By considering reciprocity of the earth, of what it is to be a human being, Subsidiarity is the most effective antidote against any form of all-encompassing welfare state. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for this intervention. Thank you, which gives also us the possibility to look forward. Yes, thank you. To look forward and to also giving concrete proposals on how to look also at the teaching of Pope Francis and the contribution of the Church to the future. We are really a bit late on our schedule. I would suggest that we take if there is a question or remark from the audience, and one from online, from those already. We are receiving some quite good questions and remarks. Maybe I will start very briefly reading in French these remarks that came from somebody who signs as Benedict. Is not my colleague. We are not asking the questions between us. But this person, she's asking. I have the impression that after the pandemic, something is changing. My daughter is not seeing her grandparents since so long, and we are almost developing a kind of virtual family. Maybe I don't know. Somebody would like to reply, to respond to this, which is more a remark. But before giving the floor again back to the speakers, I wanted to see if in the audience there were some questions or remarks, contributions. Yes. If not, I will. Yes, please, Madame Mose. I'm sorry. I will repeat because the question. No, it's fine because I will repeat very briefly. Yeah. After les institutions internationales, continuent comme si de rien n'était. Ils ont fait le bilan de ce qui s'est passé. Ils ont tiré les conclusions d'un certain nombre de choses. Ils ont fait des constats en particulier l'éducation à distance n'avait fonctionné que dans les pays développés. Il y avait à la fois de l'électricité et du matériel qui et que là où le support humain a manqué, tout s'est cassé la figure. Ok. Donc, il continue exactement comme avant. Et ça, c'est très inquiétant. I will resume very briefly for those who were not able to listen to your very good remark in the online. We notice that international institutions have the tendency not they give the impression they didn't learn the lesson of the pandemic, and they continue if nothing had happened. This is the remark from Mrs. Mose, our official representative to the CCAC, the UNESCO. Yes, and the agenda goes on in the way. Thank you. I don't know if there were reactions from Realia. Ganci. È meglio andare lì perché è complicato. Like this, because bisogna parlare qui.
Okay. No, I would like to say to Benedict that while family is always real, it's impossible to be a virtual family. I think so. But during the pandemic, perhaps some members of our family that were alone could be linked with us, and we could see how they were feeling, and by this connection. So I think we have to look also to the good practice that we have learned during the pandemic, because in that way, perhaps we can be nearer the persons that live in another country, that have some distance, that we cannot manage to go and to see and to be with them. So perhaps this kind of experience has benefited in some way the relation within the family. That's my opinion.
Thank you. I would like to have our Vice President, Cornel Barbut from Romania.
I see a challenge raised by Mr. Rossi about the new agreement which need to be done between the generations. It's like a challenge for today. My question for the speakers, how do you see this done in concrete words? How this challenge, how this new agreement to be done between the generations today?
The question from Cornel Barbut was about the agreement. So I have to repeat the question for the online participants. The intergenerational agreement between the generations, how it can be done. Yes, it's better. Yes. Brevemente.
Only some words about this, because the power of technology during the time of pandemic was very, very, very big. So, and the young people, the phenomenon, you can speak about the individualization of generation, of all generations is divided between in their life. So for this is very important to explain, and in Italy this is very big problem, to explain to young people, new generation, EU generation, that the memory and the history is important not only for the grandparents, but also for the young people, because they have to react to this memory, to this history, and to create a new history, but comprehensive of this history. So, and for this, to join this aim, for us it's important to rethinking to education in the school, because the school is very, very important to create this relationship between generations. So this is only one topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this reply. I want to now really give the floor to our president, Vincenzo Bassi, before concluding this conference. Our president is connected online because of COVID. He was not able to join us. You know, this conference precedes our board meeting, which gathers all presidents of family associations, Catholic family associations around Europe. We will work tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow we will be working on the work of our federation, on the future work. I want to thank now the interpreters also, because we rely on their generosity, because we are a bit late on the schedule. I want to thank also the ambassadors who are here for their presence, which this gives a very important sign of the Council of Europe, and we as an organization with a participatory status, we feel this particular responsibility of bringing the voice of families to the European institutions and to the Council of Europe as well. And now I'm really glad to give the floor to President Bassi. I just try to share the screen, and now I have to change. Sorry, it's going to take. Okay, let's do like this. No, it's not working. Okay. Yes, it's not working. Sorry, but this is the beauty of live streaming. As always. Okay, this one.
Make him talk.
Yes. But why is not? Well, apparently it's not possible to. Maybe from this one.
Okay, I'm very excited. So everybody's looking at me. It's I'm not so used, but anyway, we succeeded. So I will speak in French.
Just a second, because
Okay.
I want to connect the audio, but maybe you can hear. Okay, please.
Can I go on?
Yes.
Okay, I will speak in French. Merci à tous les présents, merci aux ambassadeurs ici présents, merci notamment aux différents intervenants. Et merci beaucoup à Monseigneur Ganci, parce que nous sommes... Est-ce que je peux parler?
Yes. Now, yes.
Okay. As I said, I will do this little brief intervention in French. So, merci à tous les présents, merci aux ambassadeurs ici présents, merci notamment aux différents intervenants, et merci à Monseigneur Ganci, parce que nous savons très bien que comme FAFCE, on a été encouragé beaucoup par Monseigneur Ganci, et dans ce moment, je voudrais aussi remercier Monseigneur Le Pompin, le nonce, qui a été le nonce chez les institutions européennes à Bruxelles jusqu'à la fin de l'année, que maintenant on voit de haut parce qu'il était parti le mois de juin, et il a été très important pour nous parce qu'il nous a encouragés à nous grandir et en essayant d'amener la parole de la famille au cœur des institutions européennes. Merci aussi à Maria Zervino et à WUCWO pour cette excellente coopération. Ce travail conjoint n'est que la naturelle continuité de notre travail dans le cadre du Forum des ONG internationales d'inspiration catholique. nous sommes dans l'année de la famille, l'année de Saint-Joseph. En tant que père de famille, je tiens à le remarquer. Et en fait, je le remarque parce que comme président de la FAFCE et comme FAFCE en général, ce que nous faisons est d'essayer de parler et d'utiliser toujours la même mot. Ce que nous faisons est de parler toujours de la même parole, mais maintenant nous utilisons différents mots. Pour ça que ce que nous disons toujours est que la famille a une joyeuse responsabilité, et pour expliquer ça, pour témoigner ça, ce que nous faisons est de convaincre tout le monde que la famille est une ressource sans laquelle on ne peut pas penser au futur de notre société. Et enfin, on ne peut pas parler d'écologie si on stresse en conditions très claires pour le futur, que l'écologie est utile pour le futur de la société. Mais on n'aura pas de futur pour notre société si on ne rattrapera pas un équilibre intergénérationnel. Et aujourd'hui, on a parlé toujours de ça, et on est sûr que c'est à nous d'expliquer et de convaincre que la famille est toujours au service. Quand on parle de famille, on ne parle pas de privilèges. Il faut parler toujours de services. Mais si aujourd'hui, il faut parler des familles dans un moyen différent, on peut dire qu'il faut parler toujours des réseaux de familles. Parce que ce que nous avons vu pendant cette période de la pandémie est que plus que la manque d'argent, plus que la manque de travaux, la maladie la pire qu'on a vécue est la solitude. Et pour ça que si on a vu pendant cette période que les familles qui ne sont pas seules, les familles qui vivent dans un réseau de familles, sont les familles qui pourraient passer mieux, même en période difficile comme les périodes de la pandémie. Et c'est vrai ça, parce que quand les familles parlent, quand les familles essaient de dire quelque chose pour convaincre quelqu'un, ce que nous faisons est de témoigner notre vie. Et en fait, maintenant, aujourd'hui, je suis à Rome, je suis très triste parce que je voulais être avec vous, avec ma famille, je voulais faire la connaissance de personnes que je ne connais pas, et je dois rester ici. Mais je dois aussi dire à tout le monde maintenant, j'ai ma femme qui est malade, c'est à côté de moi, mais je suis tranquille parce que je ne suis pas seul. J'ai des amis qui m'aident, j'ai des amis qui viennent pour demander si j'ai besoin de quelque chose. Et en fait, même si je voudrais être à Strasbourg maintenant, je dois être très content du fait que je ne suis pas seul. Et je n'ai pas peur pour la santé de Carla, ce n'est pas ça la question, mais je ne pouvais pas parler comme je parle maintenant si j'étais seul. Et pour ça qu'il faut continuer à montrer ça, il faut continuer à convaincre les personnes qui croient encore que la famille est un privilège. Non, la famille, ce n'est pas un privilège. La famille, c'est, et je confirme ça, est une joyeuse responsabilité. Et si on va convaincre les personnes de ça, on n'a pas plus besoin de défendre quelqu'un. Parce que si on parle de fonctions, on connaît très bien que le bien commun, ce n'est pas une idée abstracte, c'est une réalité. Et la chose plus réelle dans la vie, dans notre vie, est la famille. La Commission européenne a récemment déclaré de vouloir réouvrir la négociation sur le pacte de croissance et stabilité, critères de Maastricht. Il faut toujours essayer de rappeler que la famille n'est pas un coût, mais un investissement. Il faut considérer ça parce que si on considère la famille comme un investissement, et les politiques démographiques et familiales ne doivent pas être considérées seulement comme politique sociale, mais aussi comme politique économique. Et si on parle de famille, il faut parler d'écologie, surtout parce que nous sommes les premières à avoir l'intérêt et l'envie de préserver notre planète pour les générations futures. C'est pour ça que c'est incroyable qu'il y a encore quelqu'un qui est capable de parler d'écologie et de développement soutenable sans parler des familles et sans souligner l'essentialité de l'équilibre intergénérationnel. Merci beaucoup. J'espère de vous rencontrer le plus tôt possible. Et maintenant, je dois aussi remercier Antoine Renat pour tous les travaux qu'il a fait pour nous. Et je pourrais dire à tout le monde que je ne pourrais pas être le président de quelque chose sans Antoine Renat. Et Antoine Renat est encore pour nous un point essentiel parce qu'il nous aide à comprendre la fonction même de la FAFCE. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Je pense qu'avec ces mots, on peut vraiment remercier tous les intervenants. Merci beaucoup. Et voilà, nous remercions aussi tous ceux qui nous ont suivis en ligne, les interprètes et toutes les personnes qui nous ont patiemment suivis en ligne. Bénédicte aussi pour son travail derrière la scène. Et vraiment, merci. Nous allons continuer maintenant à interrompre la connexion en ligne et nous allons continuer avec la cérémonie de remise de l'ordre de chevalier de Saint-Grégoire-le-Grand pour notre président d'honneur, Antoine Renard. Merci beaucoup à tous.